Oh, there she is.
Hi, Rosalind. Welcome home. Welcome home.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Everybody else was okay? You just went on?
Everything is okay. Yeah. We had some great shares. Rico shared. I don't know if you
I
got
did hear
Rico.
Rico, mostly.
Okay, and Rafi shared and John shared. And I don't know if you want to repeat the share, which is okay.
It's
Get it on the recording.
Or, oh, that's right. That if you repeat the share, it'll be on the recording. Okay.
Yeah. Rafi, go ahead.
But we got most of you, Rico. You saw when I left, all until I left.
Oh, okay. And when you left, I had said to Rico, I also had an addiction of the same nature back in the 80s, both Suzanne and I. And we went through it for about 3 years. And all of it, I mean, when it was at the beginning, it was love at first sight. And at the end, it was nothing but pain. And Suzanne says, it's got to end. That's it. She ended it right there. And when I saw that she ended it, I ended it. And it only took like 24 hours. I know the determination that Rico has to break that addiction. Rafi, you want to say something?
I just repeat what I said before. I
Sure.
have no need for I had no need for the fantasy of limitations.
Beautiful. Yeah. Because we all are into quantities and wondering if, I need more, thinking that I don't have enough. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. That's all part of the idea of limitation. And then I think, John, you were sharing. Am I correct? You have your mute on, John.
I did share, but my share was more in terms of being a question about the fantasy of thinking that I can go to live in one world, as
Okay, right.
Mhm.
Very good. Yeah. And the word impossible is the key word in lesson 130. You can't. It's like love and fear. They cannot coexist. But perfect love casts out fear. We have to return to the vows that we made with our Father. There's page 603 of the text. It says, in our creation, the Father said to his Son, you are beloved of me, and I am beloved of you, and this is true forever and forever. And in our answer, I will, we were born. That's exactly what it says in the bottom of page 603 in the text. That was a vow that we made with our Creator, which is an eternal marriage. Yet, if we got bored, and the word bored is a funny word because bored seems like, well, I want something else. But if you go into the people who go into the different emotions, boredom is simply a very thin veneer over anger. When you're angry and you don't want to show it, well, you get bored. I'm restless. I want to do something. I want to do, So boredom is really anger. And basically that's what happened in the Big Bang. In the Big Bang, we thought that we could blow everything up into smithereens and become bodies, become parts, apart instead of whole. But yet there's nothing, our holiness, which is the truth about us, because everything else is simply a dream, an illusion, a fantasy, that I can be separate from my Creator. That's impossible.
The commitment, though, that I got to own is that I am here. That so I mean, it's maybe easy to say. It's easy to say it's impossible, but it's the experience of it is something else.
Well, okay, so the commitment is either I am love, or I'm trying to look for love. By the final lesson in the Course of Miracles, part 1 of the workbook is lesson 200. And he says, there is no peace but the peace of God. He says, you can keep looking all you want in this world. You're not going to find it. Not because it's a needle in a haystack. There's no needle. It's all hay. That's what fantasy is. There's nothing there. It's all hay. It's all confetti, and you wind up with nothing. And he says, listen, you're going to be bitterly disappointed if you keep looking. And that's the ego's mantra. Seek and do not find. What am I seeking for? Happiness? Joy? No. We choose pain. And that's why it's the course is very clear. The Holy Spirit has to point out that what you think is joy or pleasure is really pain. Pain and pleasure, opposite sides of the same coin. It took Dove 81 years to come to that place. All right. As long as you're laughing, it's okay.
I'm laughing. Doug, I just like to note that I love Rafi's the fantasy he gave up. That really, really resonated with me. I
Good.
gave the fantasy of limitations. I'm going to sit and ride that off into the sunset. Thank you, Rafi.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would say at this point, Rosin, if you want to lead a meditation, I would love to be a part of it.
All right. So just dovetailing on Dove, I'd like to say that the biggest fantasy, as he said, is the belief in separation. And the way we do that is a belief in ourselves as solid material beings. And as I said earlier this week, some scientists are still looking for the separate body that's a separate material, solid being. But most of science, or at least the part that I'm listening to, I haven't quantified it, talks about we are energy beings. And I find that very helpful. That's a doorway for me to the oneness that Dove knows, that I know, that you know. Every time you forget time, every time you stare into space, every time your car drives somewhere when you didn't remember to drive there, every time you forget your grievances, every time you forget what you're seeking, every time you allow time to just elapse. You might have thought that was fantasy, that you let time elapse, or that you didn't pay attention to your driving. But we have those reversed. The real world is what we think is the fantasy world, and the fantasy world is the real world. So the fantasy world is our dreams of heaven, of dreams of oneness, dreams of no humiliation, no lack, no pain. Now, weather still happens, right? Let's go to the weather. But if the weather in our emotions, if we're going to live in this world, we're going to bump up against people and things. Weather is going to happen. We're not all going to be in the same mood at the same time. But that's not a problem. It's only a problem if we judge it, and then we have to forgive it, and then we believe in separation, then we have to defend it, then we have to fight for it, then we're in the fantasy world and we've forgotten. But if we allow weather, other people's weather, other people's comings and goings. It doesn't mean we agree with everything. It means that we don't make decisions about anything in the sense of, yes, we decide to drive right or left or buy this and not buy that, but that's the play world. That has no consequence. The world of consequence is when we make it real, like the Course says, we judge everyone. And what is judgment? Judgment is a cover, I believe, for anger and attack thoughts. It gives us the chance to be right. So let's just go to one of those moments where we were ashamed or we made a mistake, believed we'd done something wrong, believed somebody else did something wrong, judged somebody little or small. Put a number on it, just the weather. But for now, we're going to put a number on it. Now we're going to step outside of that weather. We're going to let it be just as it is. We don't have to make a conclusion. It just was something. It happened. It just happened. If we don't make any conclusion, it's over. But just to take us into the real world, we're going to leave our defenses aside. We're going to leave our judgments aside. We're going to leave our concepts aside. Now that's a big one, because we know what love is. We know what fear is. We know what God is. We know what godly behavior. No, we don't. We just pretend we know. We can be the unknowing and be free, because oneness has no opinion. When we're in presence, when we're knowing our aliveness, when we're valuing the earth and nature and letting the birds and the trees talk to us, and the flowers and the worms and the snakes and the grass and the ground, when we're letting it speak to us, we have no opinions. We have no judgments. We don't know anything. We don't know what anything is for, and we don't know anything. And yet, we can make any decisions in this world because they're given to us. We're just an embodiment. We don't have to worry about the next moment. This moment, if there's something to do or say, we'll be told. And a lot of times there's nothing to do or say, and we want to do and say. But that's okay too. That's part of the weather. Just weather. We don't say, why did it rain? Why did it storm? It stormed, it rained, the snow, whatever. That doesn't make us apathetic. It frees us to be passionate about being alive, passionate about being unlimited, passionate about being what God is. We're free. We're unlimited. We are not controlled by fantasies. The oneness is so much more powerful and filling and nutritional. It actually gives us what we need, not the fake sugar. The fantasy is like living on fake sugar. with no calories and no sustenance. And when that's all we had, we enjoyed it. Sure, it was good enough. But now all we have to do is step out of the world of doing and allow being. The truth will set us free. And this is the truth. And everyone belongs. No one is shut out. There are no requirements, no prerequisites. You don't have to be more, do more, think more, be smarter, prettier, uglier, more handsome, be more buff, more anything. There's no more here. It's only enough. And for this gorgeous talk that Dove gave us tonight, reminding us of fantasy and helping us to digest the word illusion more deeply. We thank him. And we can all say amen. And when you come back, notice the rating on your upset, on the weather. Notice if it's any different. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you.
Mm. Araba, have we heard your voice tonight? Are you available? She may be off camera and attending to something.
Yeah, I just want to say, your sharing reminds me of the last final words of the Lord's Prayer in the Course of Miracles. And I'll put it up again. It says, "Let us receive only what you have given to us, and accept with this into the minds which you created and which you love." So this is a matter of identity. If I identify with spirit, which is what I am spirit, lesson 97. I am one self united with my creator, lesson 95. I am as love created me. Once I think I'm anything different, less than, more than, not equal to the love of God, I'm entering into fantasy land. I'm being tempted to find what I am, and that's like checking into the holodeck if you're a Star Trek person, and you want to see what kind of adventures you can get into. I can go anywhere and find something to do, somewhere to go, but actually we never left home. We're spirit. Spirit is whole, complete, perfect, innocent in all respects, and that's where happiness is. So we chase fantasies in order to be happy, when that's who we are. We are happiness. God being love is also happiness. Lesson 103. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Lesson 101. I share God's will for my happiness. Lesson 102. So where am I looking for my happiness? Outside of me? And if you're doing the course, you know that, the ego always looks outside, thinking there's something there. And there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Thank you. Rico has his hand up, and I see Arava's maybe available. Yeah.
I just want to ask a quick question. Dove, where do you find that ACIM version of the Lord's Prayer?
It's in chapter 16, section 7.
No, you said 8 before.
no, well, I'm looking at it. Chapter 16, section 7,
Okay,
paragraph 12.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Araba, did you want to share with us now?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. No, I hadn't spoken, but I've enjoyed Dove's teaching as well as your gorgeous meditation. And the question that Dove asked earlier about what felt to me like a declaration to release the fantasy I no longer have any use for was the story of myself, my own story of myself. And this is compared to God's story of me. And what I felt in that meditation was that allowed me specifically to move beyond the story of myself. And of course, clearly tells us that we do not know who and what we are. And when we are in that stance, that it will be given to us. And that's really what I felt during the experience that you led us through, Rosalind, is that I was given the opportunity to be given what and who I am. So I just wanted to say thank you for that experience and tying in, Dove, the idea of all of the fantasies that we have, and taking that word and moving it beyond what some people might think of as imagination, right? Which can be very different from the ideas that we believe to be true all in the world versus what is truth itself.
I just want to take a moment and see if we can't all take what Araba said and think of our story and do just what she did. And take that in as though that might be the incarnation, if you will, of our separation, how we have imagined it in that story. And what if that was not true? What if that is not what you are? Not only not who you are, but not what you are. Who feels that's good news? Right? Yeah. It's beautiful. And we have moments where we know what we are, that we are God. And we have moments when we don't feel like that, or don't remember, or don't know that. And it's still true. It's still true even when we don't think it or feel it. Back to you, Dove, or anybody else who would like to share. Thank you, Araba. That was gorgeous.
I would say one of the easiest ways of coming to that place where you get your true identity in that lesson 189, paragraph 7, which a lot of people know by heart. Basically, that's the lesson that says, I feel the love of God within me now. I feel it. Now, feeling the love of God is real. It's not fantasy. But he starts earlier before paragraph 7. He says, how can you feel the love of God in a world that looks like this? I mean, it's, there's so much craziness, there's so much, the ego is shrieking with all kinds of crazy things. How could you feel the love of God? And then finally in paragraph 7, he tells you exactly how to do it. He says, simply do this, be still. And that's stilling our mind. That's stilling our mind. the mind is, he tells you, you're far too tolerant of your mind wandering. That's the fantasy. The mind is constantly looking, I want to be happy. So there's something out there that's going to make me happy. And we don't realize that we're in fantasy land. We're in fantasy land. There's nothing in this world that can do anything for you. There is no world. You are the Holy Son of God now and always. The next line in that paragraph 7 is, do not take with you one thought of what you are, nor one thought of what God is. We don't know exactly, as Rosalind said, we don't know what God is. We have to give up all of our fantasies of what God is. I mean, we all know all the fantasies that we grew up with, as teenagers, and then later, we still don't know what God is. So do not take with you one thought of what you are or what God is. Nothing you ever learned from anything in this world. Nothing that you ever thought was true or real or good or right. Nothing you were ever ashamed of. Hold on to nothing you ever learned from anything in this world. Forget this world. Forget this course. And to me, that's the biggest joke of all. Forget this course. Come with holy, empty hands into your God.
That's my favorite part of it. Come with holy, empty arms. What does that mean? It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Empty your mind of everything.
Yeah.
The mind is Disney World.
Mhm. Yeah. Lynn has her hand up, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Len, go ahead.
Oh my God. I went from a 4 to a 1.
Mhm.
And thank you so much. And your voice is so lovely. Always. It's so soothing. And Dove, thank you. And Rico. And John, if I could read a poem I wrote, it's my last poem I wrote. And I gave up doing yoga to write this poem. I call it Lotus. Let us rise from the ashes, mighty companions. What has been burned can breathe again. An aroma caresses what has been hurt. Grace is here as love remembers. Does caterpillar know his skin is not home, that he will open to colors not imagined? Lotus evolves in muck of insanity. Love embraces all of self.
That's beautiful.
That is
Thank
gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, I'm going to put up, for anyone who does want to go to John Mundy's thing, which starts at 8 o'clock, I'll put the link up so you can take a look at it now. I know I put it up late last time. I go there. It starts at 8 and goes to 9:30. Okay.
Does everyone know how to copy a link? Double click if you have a computer, or I don't know, on your other devices, but it's hard to copy all those numbers. Much easier.
Well, I thought everyone else had a copy, no?
Well, actually, from a chat, not everybody knows how to copy. At least I've run into people who didn't know.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for such a beautiful night. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for the love you bring here and the way you listen and the way you receive and the way you offer your heart in quiet or in words. We thank you for your presence. Bye, everyone.
Freedom, Arbor.
Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Dove.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Love you, Lenny.
Love you, Rico. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Blessings,